Well, if you think that drag is just about a man wearing false eyelashes and a pussycat wig, or it's just a woman wearing a pair of glued-on sideburns and an Elvis jumpsuit, you have not heard the Gospel of RuPaul. If you're a smart and sensitive soul and your eyes are wide open to the ugly mediocrity and hypocrisy of this world and you are angry and bitter, then you have not heard the Gospel of RuPaul. RuPaul's gospel takes the ordinary sense of what drag is and completely transforms it into a spiritual philosophy. And it heals the anger and bitterness. It tickles the brain. That's how RuPaul likes to put it. It gives people something to live for. When you become the image of your own imagination, he says, it is the most powerful thing that you can do. Now, even if you happen to be a Jesus or a Buddha, you just don't invent your gospel out of nothing. Others are always helping. Others are always contributing to the good news vision that is going to be born through you. One of these folks was RuPaul's 10th grade drama teacher, Mr. Pennell. At the time, says RuPaul, I was going through a teenage drama of my own. My bad grades had finally caught up with me, and I was being faced with expulsion from the only school I had ever really enjoyed going to. My teacher, seeing how shaken up I was, calmly pulled me to the side and said with an even tone, the most important thing to remember, RuPaul, is not to take life too seriously. Now, hearing this, RuPaul said to himself, excuse me? I'm about to get kicked out of this school that I love, the only one I've ever loved, and your advice to me is don't take life too seriously? Are you for real? Of course, says RuPaul, the truth and wisdom of his advice was lost on me then, but I never forgot it. In fact, over the next 30 years, it would become the creed I live my life by. It was, he says, the best advice I have ever received. Now, how many of you tend to take yourself too seriously? Why am I even asking that question, actually? Someone was telling me about how he has a running joke with a friend. From time to time, they look at each other and declare thunderously, "Do you have any idea how important I think I am?" And whatever real struggle they may be dealing with actually gets a bit smaller in proportion to how much they laugh. Our lives get tangled up. But if you are taking things way too seriously, instead of finessing things so that they get untangled, the opposite happens. A tangle becomes a hard knot. Stressing out is the worst problem-solving strategy there is. But we do take our lives way too seriously. In part, it is because we are traumatized. Traumas tend to lock us down. You were born, you had natural human needs, but the people who were supposed to take care of you for some reason could not. Trauma, or in growing up, you tended to draw outside the lines, and you got punished for it. Like RuPaul, you're the guy out there in the front lawn running around in a pink dress. You get punished for that. You still get punished for that. Trauma makes us take our lives way too seriously, and so do our social roles. They just tend to take over, and we end up thinking that their limits are the limits of our possibility, the limits of our total world. You become your gender, you become your skin color, you become your job, your politics, your marital status. This is what you are. You are nothing more than that. You are stuck in a box. Growing up, like the rest of us, RuPaul heard the message, he learned it, he knew it by heart. But again and again, lessons contradicting it came. One day when RuPaul was 5, his sister Renata put some chocolate chip cookies into a paper bag, grabbed a blanket, and then led him out into the backyard, spread out that blanket, opened up the paper bag, and gave him a cookie and said, Ru, this is a picnic. It taught him that you can learn, you can take something that is completely mundane and you can make it magical. Take the situation way too seriously and all you have is a blanket and a bag of cookies. But imagination, unleashed, reveals that there's always way more than meets the eye. Beyond this, RuPaul happened to see African-American comedian Flip Wilson on TV in drag. Geraldine. Oh, funny that was to him. It was fabulous. He wanted to sing and dance and do just like that. Extravaganza, eleganza. On TV, you also saw Diana Ross. It was on the Ed Sullivan Show, and she's singing Baby Love, and she scrunches her shoulders up, and he does that too. He's imitating her. He's practicing her big eyes and big smiles. All this is happening in San Diego in the 1970s, and it was very white and very conservative, and the people wanted him to take his gender and his race and all those other labels way too seriously. But for him, that meant playing dumb. You see, there's an equation forming in his mind, as in taking yourself way too seriously, just like a lot of people want, is equivalent to playing dumb. It's a kind of deprivation. It is nothing less than a denial of the fundamental freedom and creativity and playfulness that is at the core of human nature. And he's just too smart for that. So was David Bowie. About him, he says, everything I felt on the inside, he was doing on the outside. David Bowie's gender fluidity was a symbol of something way bigger than gay or straight or male or female or any of those other labels or any of our traumas that tend to take people over and make them forget their essential selves. Thus the Gospel of RuPaul. Here it is. Drag isn't just a man wearing false eyelashes and a pussycat wig. Drag isn't just a woman with a pair of glued-on sideburns and an Elvis jumpsuit. Drag is everything. I don't differentiate drag from dressing up or dressing down. Whatever you put on after you get out of the shower is your drag. Be it a three-piece suit or a Chanel suit, a McDonald's uniform or a police uniform. The truth of who you really are is not defined by your clothes. Do you see my drag this morning? I stole my suit, socks. Standing on the side of love socks now. That's some gay crazy, right? Look at your drag. Look at your drag. Look down at yourself. Look at your drag. And now think. What more could there be? What more wants to be through you? Perhaps all you think you have been given in life is a bag of cookies and a blanket in the backyard. But are you taking that way too seriously? Could there be more? Could there be different? The biggest obstacle I ever faced, RuPaul says, was my own limited perception of myself. And he is not alone in that.